thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate the opportunity for you to allow me to share with you today. What I'm about to discuss with you has taken me 20 years to tell this story. And I'm hoping that by the end of the day, you will understand the value of not only leadership, okay, but a unique leadership experience. All right, and we've done a lot of talking today about values, conscious values that we've built over time. I want to talk about the unconscious values that we have within us, that when we're thrust into a situation and we have to be a leader, it flows. Because being a leader can be scary. And if I could tell you today that after you hear the story, you will never be scared again. Today I want to share a story with you, just basically a tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. For me, it was the best of times. Matter of fact, I felt like I was living in the 50s. I married my high school sweetheart. We had 3 great kids. The country as a whole just survived Y2K. I just got 4 combat tours completed in the previous decade, and I was still alive. Now the 50s had a certain appeal to them. They were simple, right? All-American vision, everybody was on the same page. And that's what was important. And that's what held us to our values. Now, as I said, the American dream, there's my family. In the decade previous, now remember, we had to survive Y2K. I gave everybody a Y2K baby. That's how serious I was about doing it. We knew that America and the world was going to survive. But you notice the date when my daughter was born. In the previous decade, I had an opportunity to work for 3 different presidents. Experience of a lifetime. I got up in my life one day, just as everyone else did all over the world, and the world was different. And we knew it was different. And this was the borderline. You can see around the clouds, bright blue sky. It's a beautiful day, a beautiful fall day. It was not duty for me. I felt, when I saw it on TV like everybody else, that I had to do something. I felt helpless, and I had to do something. I had the best job in the Navy at the time. I was the athletic director for the Naval Academy Preparatory School up in Newport, Rhode Island. I was close. I could get there, and I did. The first thing I saw as you came in from the barriers, on the left, I was walking down the street and I saw a restaurant. I saw a half-eaten piece of apple pie and a quarter of a glass of milk. Chairs turned over, and it just looked like what it was. At that point, you say to yourself again, do you really want to do this? What would you do as a leader? You don't have to go do this. You could turn around. Nobody's going to say anything to you. They don't even know you're there. Once you get in, you understand the full scale as you walk through. I felt like it took me an hour to walk into the facility. It's a huge area. And that's really the key to a lot of the ways that we feel about this situation, because we've been there, but we've never been there. Completely different reality. I saw this individual fireman right here. Is he a senior guy? Is he a new guy? You saw people standing, sitting, laying down, doing different things all over because they were all trying to understand what had happened and try to regroup and figure out what they were going to do. I, by trade, when I first came into the Navy, I was a rescue swimmer. I've been shot at. I've crashed in helicopters. And as a rescue swimmer, I've jumped in the open ocean and had 200 people in the water that I had to go save. So I could do this stuff. I was prepared. I had the skill set. What I wasn't trained to do was run into a fire and go save people and understand something. We all knew this had just happened. We knew there were people in the rubble that had to get out. No one said, here, we're gonna have you do this. No one spoke. And the reason why no one communicated is because there were people in the rubble. Because if we heard somebody make a noise, if we thought we might have found somebody, we'd blow a whistle. Everybody would be quiet, everybody would stop digging, and the dogs would come in and sniff and see if they found somebody, and then we'd go back in. And that's the way we operated. Total silence. Things that end up the way they do, we can't explain. The amount of people that stopped when they saw that. The pure scale, you couldn't see it all. You couldn't get to it all. You couldn't be all. And I would imagine for normal leaders when they came in, especially the people that ran the city of New York, they were out of their element. In addition to if you're in the fire department, you've lost all these 343 guys. The fires are still burning. People are still working, they're doing what they need to do without speaking. This is ladder 3. Patty Brown, Captain Patty Brown. This was his engine. Him and 11 people were lost. A dozen out of the 343. Now, the first thing I did when I got in and got centered is I walked over near the Millennium Hotel. And across from there, it just looked like people were doing stuff. So I went over there and I started. And the unconscious things that your mind does when you're in that type of situation is very interesting. You had people picking up a broom and sweeping tiles in front of the building. But I just showed you this massive destruction of steel and beams, but he's sweeping. We're a long way from sweeping. But it helped him center and be able to do what he needed to do. Near there, a Home Depot truck was sitting. I don't know how it got there. Somebody jumped out of that truck, opened the back, and it was filled with boxes of who knows what. People walked over and I walked over. We pulled those boxes out and they were wheelbarrows. We pulled the wheelbarrows out, we built the wheelbarrows. And when all those wheelbarrows were built, people just took off in all different directions to make sure there were wheelbarrows at all the different areas of the site. No one ever said a word, just did it. And when the wheelbarrows were done, they were done. The next thing that happened was these lines that you see into the rubble. This is where the bucket brigade worked. But the offshoot of that, you had all of these other different things now. They were having to figure out how they're going to make a new city. We need a hospital. We need communications. We need the leaders. We need all these things to be able to happen. The next thing you know, all these people are forming a line. I don't know why they're getting in line, but they're getting in line. I'll get in line. So I got in line. And we're standing there quietly. 2 minutes go by. And next thing you know, people from one end of the site to the other made a line. No communication. Going by hand. Oxygen tank. Medicine. IV stand. Whatever it was. Hand by hand was going because we were building out a medical facility in what used to be a Burger King. And when things were being passed, I was standing right next to somebody that worked for the mayor. And he had a big cigar in his mouth. And I was standing right next to him. And with everything going on, I couldn't smell the cigar. Couldn't smell it. When things stopped coming, everybody left and went and did other stuff. Not a word. No leadership, no direction. They just went. Many people stayed for days, weeks, months. Eventually they had to be told, you can't, we're not going to get it. The devastation that people saw and the way that they had to deal with it was very difficult. It's difficult for us to do it now 20 years later. People just stopped. You would see people standing on the street and even within the site trying to comprehend what had happened and how they were going to process it. So the same things that were happening here were happening inside. What's interesting, this is the second day. And what I'm trying to convey is when I went in, it was nighttime. It's bright, sunny, but once you went into the curtain, it was black, night, dark, lit by lights, that's it, around the clock. So again, people didn't know how long they were there. Now, on the second day, even as you do this, as people were working through this, we were all there because we wanted to save people. I'm a Navy guy. That's what I want to do. I want to save lives. That's why I went. No one knew that Janelle Guzman was the last person to be pulled from the road. Everybody kept digging. They wanted to find and save somebody. And that was raw. And it just can't be explained. People just didn't give up. Everyone was still trying to find all of these people. People on the bank, people outside, people posting things on the church, wherever it was, people from all over the world were trying to find their loved ones. And that was the other thing. We were united in no other way in my entire life due to this event. So this was pivotal to get us to move on. This didn't happen until the 14th, but we needed to go. All right? And the reason on the ground when people were searching and things were happening, and later on, as we got later to the, my daughter was born on the 13th, and I spent my daughter's birthday at ground zero. And you could hear all the leaders, as we move forward, they said, have him, he wants to come in and do a thing. And the people in New York and all the people on the pile said, no, we're going to find somebody. We don't want to move on. We want to find these people. So we got together. We had a direction. We decided we were going to come out of this thing, work together, and do everything we needed to do to make it happen. And that's what we did. We pulled up our bootstraps, and we did what we needed to do. But we're going to go on with life, but life's different. Everything changed in our life after that day. Everything. All rubble. This is basically the dump. And the name of this dump is just another irony of the entire situation. But in the shadow of where the buildings were, the rubble is. And that's really a good visual for where we are now. And most likely may always be in relation to this event. That fire truck that I showed you, that's it. All prepared, not fixed, not tweaked, not moved, not white, not anything. It was just the way it was when we pulled it out of the site. It was rewrapped to be redelivered back to the site in its original space. 20 years later, Oculus was built when I first started working, when I first got to the site. This picture was taken by my daughter out her dormitory window at Pace University, looking down at where I was working on her birthday. This sits outside the church that she attends in New York. Full circle. But the memories and lessons of leadership and the values that we had unconscious to where you can be thrust into a situation where you don't even know if you're going to be prepared, but you will be. And sometimes being a leader isn't follow me, it's get myself in order. How can I operate within this system? How can I be positive? How can I contribute? You don't always have to be the person out front. Thank you very much for your time.